We knew we were on the short list, and we were hoping it would get the nomination. And when I found out that morning, it was, obviously very elating. To me, the most important thing is that I feel we have an important film to get out there, and this nomination can possibly help more people see it.
It was the evening of October 1st, 1969, when I first smuggled several hundred pages of top-secret documents out of my safe at the Rand Corporation. The study contained 47 volumes, 7,000 pages. My plan was to Xerox the study and reveal the secret history of the Vietnam War to the American people.
The Pentagon Papers were 7,000 pages of top secret documents that were a study of the history of the Vietnam War going back to the Truman administration through 1965.
And I was the only researcher really doing research on lessons from failure in Vietnam. The government wasn't obsessed with learning lessons at that time, and I was reading the entire study. And when I read it all, I felt that it shouldn't be just me at a nonprofit corporation working for the Defense Department that had access to that secret history. The Congress should have it. They did not bring it out as they'd promised in hearings, and eventually I gave it to the New York Times, and when they were enjoined for the first time in our history, I gave it to the Washington Post, and when they got an injunction, I gave it eventually to 17 other newspapers.
The FBI was trying to find out who gave the New York Times a copy of the Pentagon's secret study.
Pow, like a thunderclap, you get the New York Times publishing the Pentagon Papers, and the country is panicking.
This is an attack on the whole integrity of government. If whole file cabinets can be stolen and then made available to the press, you can't have orderly government anymore.
I mean, it was just staggering. The raw, top secret, eyes-only documents.
One of the things I'm proudest of is being an unindicted co-conspirator. Interestingly, Dan and I were very inspired by Gandhi and the whole idea of Gandhi's truth, that we are one, that all life is precious. And Gandhi has a phrase called the truth force. It's satyagraha, he calls it holding to the truth. And he called it truth force, soul force, or love force. And when I would stand next to Dan, and Dan would speak his truth, I would feel that kind of power, like we were standing in a truth that was bigger than ourselves.
Now, girls, forgive me concern about the possibility of going to prison for this.
We have a quick back. Wouldn't you go to prison to tell son this war?
We felt so strongly that we were dealing with a national security crisis. Henry Kissinger said that Dr. Daniel Ellsberg was the most dangerous man in America, and he had to be stopped.
This is a story more or less in 3 acts. The first act is the story of transformation of Dan Ellsberg, a Cold Warrior, somebody in the Pentagon and the high reaches of government, who is a planner of the Vietnam War, and his transformation to becoming against the war, seeing it as both unwinnable and immoral, and what he does about it.
I think it is time in this country to quit making national heroes out of those who steal secrets and publish them in the newspaper.
It was very interesting to learn what an obsession the White House had with me, which I hadn't assumed at all during this. They had an entire chain of command working on neutralizing Daniel Ellsberg.
The difficulty is all the good lawyers always say, well, we've got to win the court case, prove the court case, but convict the son of a bitch in the press. That's the way it's done.
The president had decided to set up a special investigations unit in the White House staff.
You've got to get a better team. There's one guy on the outside. He's hard as nails. His name is Howard Hunt. I need to do it, and I'll direct it myself. And I played it gloves off. Now, goddamn it, get it going on.
Doing recreations at animation was a series of steps. One of our editors in the film, Lawrence LaRue, kind of pioneered with his own initiative how it would be for Dan Ellsberg to be the narrator and for us to use more of a first-person telling of the story and to use recreations. Judith and I were fortunate to have so many good creative minds, from the two cinematographers to the two editors to the sound designer to the music composer, because this film is really a product of all those creative minds.
Dan Ellsberg felt everything with great intensity, but nothing more so than this notion he had of his own culpability for everything he had done in the early years of the war. He had an important role in what became the most ridiculously disproportional bombing campaign in the history of the world.
I still think we ought to take the dice off now. I think we let drown people get drowned out about 200 people. Well, no, I'd rather use a nuclear bomb because that's right. That, I think, would just create too much. A nuclear bomb, no problem. I just want you to think big, Henry, for Christ's sake.
It's a real story of moral courage, and I hope people feel when they've seen it that they're capable of being more courageous, and that the members of Congress that see it feel that they're able to be more courageous, and that war isn't inevitable, and that people can turn and see the other side, and that it's possible for us to not be a nation that's primary business is making war.